Now for our story. This afternoon, Jessie Calvert was lying on the comfortable chaise longue in her bedroom. There was a tray with tea things on a little table next to her. She was wearing a soft flannel robe with fur-lined slippers to match. With her head propped with pillows, a smart magazine in her lap, and her cigarette smoke curling gracefully toward the window, Jessie created a picture of languid contentment. Actually, she was feeling anything but reposeful. Conflicting thoughts and emotions raced through her mind. She kept thinking of Brett Cameron. The last time they'd been together, Brett had put his arms around her. Had kissed her. Remembering, Jessie noticed with a mixture of irritation and alarm that her heart jumped. As if I were a 15-year-old, Jessie told herself. But it was true. Much as she fought against it, Brett's power over her was becoming stronger each time she saw him. And when she thought of her husband, Ben, Jessie's emotions pulled in a different direction. On the one hand, Ben represented security. But when she thought of him as a person, as the man to whom she was married, she couldn't repress a faint distaste. Ben was beginning to sicken, to age. Then she heard the front door slam, and a moment later...
Jessie. Jessie, may I come in?
Why, yes, Ben.
Well, Jessie, you're certainly taking it easy.
Is that an accusation?
No.
Well, sit down, then. You're all red in the face. You're out of breath, too.
No wonder. Confounded, Jessie. Everything's gone wrong.
Well, wait a minute, Ben. You better calm down a bit before you launch into your tale of woe. Evidently you have something on your mind, but simmer down first. Will you have a cup of tea?
No, thank you, no.
Well, get your breath at least. Goodness, Ben. You oughtn't to rush around the way you do. It's not good for you in your condition.
What condition?
Well, you do have high blood pressure.
Oh, Jessie,
But the worst thing you can do is tear around like a madman.
I'm perfectly fit, Jessie. And I do wish you'd please stop talking as though I was on my last legs or something.
Well, I only want you to take care of yourself, to be sensible. Nothing can be important enough for you to get into such a stew. You looked positively purple when you came in here a moment ago.
Look, my dear, it's all very well for you to talk about being calm. Very well. Here you are, lying back and having tea. Very much a lady of leisure.
Well, then, would you prefer me to get up and scrub the kitchen floor?
Oh, heavens, don't be ridiculous. It's just that you look so detached and unconcerned.
Why not, for heaven's sake? Can you tell me what I have to be concerned about?
Yes, I can. I was going to tell you when I came in. That's why I came home from the office ahead of time.
All right, then. Now that you've gotten your breath back, and your color's back to normal, I'm ready for the bad news, whatever it is.
It's bad news, all right. I ran into Bill Meade this afternoon. He told me Kitt is back.
Is she? Where's she staying?
David went down to Miami. Brought her back to the sanitarium in Huntsville.
I see.
Well, I must say you don't seem to be so surprised.
Surprised, then? No, I can't say I am.
I don't see why not. I was.
No. I rather suspected David would do something like that. The way he was talking that morning he came to see you, all full of holy zeal.
And even so, I never thought he'd take it upon himself to go down there and bring her back here.
Oh, well, you know what a busybody your brother-in-law is.
Personally, I think he did it on purpose, just to make trouble for me. Bringing Kitt back here, back into the state, he must have known what that would mean.
Bringing Kitt into the state?
Certainly, Jessie. You know the authorities were looking for her to indict her for perjury.
Good Lord, that's right. Perjury.
It's a serious matter. And so long as they didn't know where she was safe. Now the fat's in the fire.
Well, then, if you'll remember, I warned you David might be up to something. But you were so sure he wouldn't take the trouble.
Of course I was. David's never lifted a finger for Kitt, except to give her a lot of fancy talk about the golden rule or some such rot. David's always been a confounded longhair.
Maybe he really wanted to help Kitt this time.
Or do you by any chance agree with him? I was under the impression you thought we should let well enough alone.
Well, then I didn't want to sway you. You said you thought Kitt was just pulling an act, pretending to be ill. Wasn't my place to interfere, was it?
No. Suppose not.
Well, you know what my stand has been all along. I was thinking of you. In my opinion, your daughter gave you a very raw deal. It's only natural I wouldn't want you to be taken in again.
That's right, Jessie. You've been very loyal, I admit that.
So, you see, I thought it was best for you to make your own decision. And you did.
Well, it didn't do any good. They're quite apt to indict Kitt for perjury, you know.
Well, it's too bad if they do. But then you can't deny she has it coming to her.
Regardless of that, Jessie, good heavens, she's my own daughter.
Oh. Now she's your daughter again.
I know I said that, but this changes everything.
It does? I'm afraid I don't follow.
Well, you don't suppose I could stand by and have my daughter tried like a criminal? Maybe even sentenced to prison?
As I said, then, that depends on whether you still consider Kitt your daughter. And you have every justification for not doing so.
Justification? What does that mean? When it comes right down to it, no matter what I said, Kitt's my own flesh and blood. I think of her when she was a baby, a little girl. She was a smart little type, Jessie.
And she's still smart. Maybe smarter than you realize.
And pretty. Wherever we took her, people always turned to look at her.
They were probably admiring her clothes. In the pictures I've seen, you dressed that child like one of the royal family.
I know. Nothing was too good for her.
Yes, Ben, you gave Kitt every opportunity. But she doesn't seem to have lived up to it.
Yeah? She's at that sanitarium. Man named Larrabee's in charge over there. He has a very good reputation, too.
What's that got to do with it?
This, Jessie. It must mean she's really ill. They wouldn't have anything to do with her case if she didn't actually need the help.
Well, if she's as well as all that, then you won't have to worry about the indictment.
That's where you're wrong. I read up on the subject of mental illness today. Stopped in at the library. It seems that legally, it's not so easy to prove. They might go right ahead with the charge, regardless of her illness.
Well, if they do, I don't see what's the point of your staying about it. There's nothing you can do to stop them. It's just too bad your brother-in-law brought her back. He must have known what would happen.
I wouldn't put it past David to have figured the whole thing out. I'd have done it just to be malicious, just to put me in a bad spot.
Well, it's possible, but it's out of your hands now.
I'm still the girl's father. I have something to say about what happened to her.
Well, then, if you want to get yourself involved with Kitt again, I won't try to stop you, but I don't see what you can do about it.
First, I'm going over and see Kitt. Talk to her.
Well, maybe she won't want to talk to you. After all, Kitt left this house of her own accord. You didn't throw her out.
Just the same, she'll talk to me. I'm going to see Larrabee, too.
Well, what do you expect to accomplish by all this?
I'm going to see just how ill Kitt is. Maybe I can get around this indictment thing by circumventing it.
How do you mean?
There are other sanitariums, Jessie. In other states. If I got Kitt away to one of those, without the authorities finding out, well, I guarantee I'd fix it so they'd have a hard time finding her.
It was fortunate for Jessie that she had a habit of discipline, of pretending a composure she didn't feel. For at that moment, Jessie's impulse was to scream with rage, with frustration. The very thing she'd feared was happening. Then sympathies toward Kitt were aroused once more. And, Jessie told herself bitterly, it was her own fault. For it was she who had suggested to Brett Cameron that he call Judge Willoughby to inform him of Kitt's return to the state. And now her scheme looked as if it had boomeranged.